All right, guys, welcome back to ZT Fully Loaded. It is Saturday, September 23rd. It is week 4. I apologize for the late release on this video, guys, but this is probably the biggest slate, if or one of the biggest slates, if not the biggest slate that we're going to have for college football all year. So many top 25 matchups, especially in the Big 12. It's the start of conference play, always going to be jam packed, always calls for upsets, old rivalries established, as you guys know. And then a lot of these games that we'll never see or won't see for a long time in the Big 12, in the Pac 12, with these conferences breaking up or some teams leaving for other conferences. It's going to be the last of these games for a long time. So excited to see it. Rivalries are going to show out, fan bases are going to show out, and this is going to be an awesome week for football. Some of these spreads were hard to pick through. Some of these over unders were hard to pick through, but still excited for this Saturday. It's gonna be beautiful, guys. So let's get underway. I want to get this live and posted right before kickoff to get these picks. If you guys want to take them right before instead of taking them live. All right, guys. So my favorite picks. We'll go with our favorite picks first. A little bit of update here, and then jump into all of our top 25 matchups, which are quite a bit, and see what we like going on. All right, guys. So my favorite picks this week for college football, I have Florida State at Clemson. A lot of money's coming in on Clemson, but even then, this morning it shifted again from FSU as -1 to -1.5 to -2. I took at -1.5. So even then, it's still not shaky enough. It's at Clemson, so even then, Clemson getting the home field advantage on these points. So technically, Vegas is favoring them at like -4.5. And I like that too. I get Clemson, got a little bit of motivation at the end of the day. They just don't look like the same old Clemson. FSU does look like they have better talent on the outside. I need to see Cade prove it, to be completely honest, after seeing week one's performance. I need to see one of Dabo's teams prove it, not even just Cade. And I do think Florida State's good. Yes, they got banged up and on our last week, and honestly, I think it was like one of those look ahead games that they got trapped with, kind of like what we saw with UT at the beginning of the year with Rice. And even then, yes, they blew out Rice, but they were looking ahead for Alabama not showing much. And I think that was the exact same case for FSU, to be completely honest with you. I think FSU holds up to their standard. They stay in the playoff picture and they beat Clemson -1.5 to clear that total for us against the spread. Moving into our second pick, Ohio State at Notre Dame. Again, and we'll talk about Sam Hartman soon with the updates of the Heisman, and he is my dark horse. And I just love the Notre Dame offense. Usually they struggle to pass the ball on the outsides. They've always had phenomenal defenses with an awesome front line. They've always been able to dominate the trenches, other than against like a Georgia or Alabama. But they've always been able to dominate the trenches. I don't think anything of that changes here. They've always had great linebackers to shut down a running game. I don't think that changes here. And now they have the receivers, the threats on the outside to go with the running game. Usually it's a running game that dominates because of the offensive line that they have up front. With a lot of draft picks coming out of Notre Dame, the best one yet is Zach Martin for sure. And again, that doesn't change. They still have a great offensive line. They still have an awesome running game. I think they keep it on the ground with Austin to grind the clock out towards the end and grind Ohio State's defense. And you don't start seeing that stuff, and it's a beautiful trend to see. When somebody's really dominating the run game, it's like they're picking up 2, they're picking up 4, they're picking up 5, and then an occasional 10-yard run. And then in the fourth quarter, it just starts. It's a landslide. Like it's 5-yard plays, 7-yard plays, 5-yard plays, 10-yard plays. Like it starts growing on you, it starts wearing and tearing, and just seeing the defeat on the defense at the end is something amazing to see. And I definitely think that happens here. I definitely think Notre Dame wears on Ohio State. It's close early, and then Notre Dame pulls away at the end, and they cover this spread, and not just cover, they win money line, in my opinion. They're at home, and maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like one of these years that finally the teams that I root for are going to pull through, and I do think Notre Dame pulls through. Why? Because they have a competent quarterback. They still have their great defense. And Ohio State still has those questions. McCord just hasn't looked great. So they haven't played much competition. Even in those competitions, they've left us with a lot of questions. We talked about week one's performance quite a bit. We're only 3 weeks out from there, and they still haven't played anybody. It's a little bit worrisome going into Notre Dame as well. People are downplaying that it's at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a great atmosphere, great fan base. I do take Notre Dame +3 here. My third pick, Nevada at Texas State, under 60.5. Honestly, Texas State runs the ball. They grind out games. Nevada, we talked about them last week and how they made a game a lot closer against Kansas than I ever thought they would. I think that's just Kansas looking forward to Big 12 play, to be completely honest. Nevada was the second to last team in FBS going into that game. Texas State has shown to be physical, has shown to be able to dominate games. We saw it against Baylor. At the end of the day, I don't see Texas State being able to put up 40 and Nevada being able to put up 20. I don't see Texas State being able to put 50 and Nevada putting 10. I see more of a 28-10 game or something like that. But Texas State at Nevada, or Nevada at Texas State under 60.5 seems like a sure lock to me, to be completely honest with you guys. So give me the under on that one, and it's just more about the game script and just the ability to score. I don't see a 30-30 game. I don't see a shootout by any means. I definitely think, and I'm looking up to see if there was a line movement. So that's the reason I'm looking at my phone, guys. I apologize. But yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it being a shootout, to be completely honest with you. And that's why I have it at under 60.5. I think it's already dropped to under 60. So go snag that if you can. Colorado at Oregon, guys. And might be surprising to you guys because I've been critical of Colorado. I definitely do think they're a little bit fraudulent. We saw it in display last week that they couldn't stop one simple route concept of an underneath route cutting through. They couldn't play a zone. They couldn't make adjustments. And it was all game. It was not like it started in the second half and you didn't have the time to adjust. From the first quarter all the way to the fourth quarter into overtime, it was the same route concept that was beating them alive. And then they were still able to run the ball against them. I think Oregon has the route concepts. I think they have more dangerous weapons. Bo Nix is a better quarterback. And Oregon is competent to play defense at times. However, Oregon does shoot themselves in the foot. I think this is Oregon's game, and I don't think there's a chance that Colorado wins. That's not the reason I'm picking Colorado plus 21. The reason I'm picking Colorado plus 21 is Oregon likes to shoot themselves in the foot. It is time and time again. It is kind of like against competent teams, against a good caliber team, and Colorado's a good caliber team. Nothing to hate there. I'm not going to say that they're garbage, that they're not, that everything's fraudulent. They're a good team. They have really good players. They have athleticism, and they're a good team. But they're a couple of years out, in my opinion. Oregon, at the end of the day, is a better team. They should be in the playoff conversation at the end. I do think they could be the cream of the crop of the Pac-12 at the end of the season as well. But time and time again, and we saw it in Texas Tech, they make games a lot closer than what they have to be when the lights shine brightest. And having to cover a 21-point spread, it's a little bit scary, especially when you think about some of the athletes that Colorado has. I do definitely think that it can be a 14-point game. I definitely see it being a 17-point game. But even then, I can just as much see as a 7-point game or even a 3-point game. It's just the way Oregon comes out, and if they stay motivated and focused throughout the rest of the game. I definitely think they come out early. They score early. It's my worry that they don't score enough to be able to cover 21, or that Colorado is able to come back and do a backdoor cover, to be completely honest, because they are an explosive team on offense. So that's my worry there, that Oregon gets up and then they're not able to cover 21 because they shoot themselves in the foot to be able to close out a game completely, or that Colorado closes or backdoor covers with an explosive play at the end to make it a 14-point game, a 10-point game, instead of Oregon covering 21. So yes, Oregon wins in my opinion, but Colorado covers plus 21. I don't see it being a 3-score game. Rutgers at Michigan for my final pick here. This is huge shout out to my boy Cody Brown. Love following him and his analysis. I definitely think this line is inflated because it's the return of Harbaugh. But Michigan hasn't covered any of their spreads, and we've talked about it with this new rule about for a running team, which Michigan is, they quorum. It's harder to cover big spreads, and Rutgers, like years past, isn't the Rutgers that gets blown out by 30 and 40 points. It's not. They're a competent team. And with Michigan now running the ball, and yes, Harbaugh's back, I don't see it being, oh, let's air it out when Harbaugh's back. Even more that Harbaugh's back, I see it getting to the running game. Let's grind it out. Let's show our physicality, and let's just absolutely dominate. Cool, go ahead and dominate. At the end of the day, if you dominate, you're not going to win by more than 4 scores. It's very hard to do, dominate the way they do. It's not an aerial passing attack. It is running down your throat, screen passes, things of that nature. And when that happens, as long as Rutgers isn't allowing 80-yard runs, I don't see them covering, or I don't see Michigan covering 24.5. Rutgers is a good team. They're competent. This is inflated because Harbaugh's return, but just with the running clock, it doesn't stop on first downs like we're used to in college football. The game goes by a lot faster for these running teams, and Michigan is at the deficit for that. We've seen it. They're 0-3 against the spread this season. I definitely think it becomes 0-4 against the spread this season because it is a huge spread. They've been dominating. They look like the number 2 team in the nation. At the end of the day, they're not covering these big spreads, and I think it's in large part because of their running clock. So yeah, give me Rutgers plus 24.5, but give me Michigan to win. So those are our favorite 5 picks, guys. I hope you guys enjoy them. I hope we tail and have a better week than last week. And then remember, we also have picks over with my boys on the Horns 2020 podcast. Go check them out. Go check out their Instagrams and on their Twitter. Um, yeah, my boys from college. So go give them some support, a shout out, and follow our picks there. Just at the beginning of the year, we have Clemson looking into, like, now that we're starting conference play, looking into these conference winners. Remember, we had Clemson, we have LSU, Texas, Oregon, Michigan. The one that looks probably the worst out of all of these is LSU and probably Clemson. Now that I'm picking FSU to win, I think if FSU wins this one, they have, I mean, they control their own destiny. Apologies there. They control their own destiny there if they win. And as long as there's no injury to Travis, there's no injury to their playmakers outside, I definitely think Florida State has enough to just close out the ACC pretty early on. LSU hasn't looked great. They did win against Mississippi State last week, so let's see if they're able to make a run in the SEC after starting off not so great against Florida State. And then Texas has looked great. They have their first big road test against Baylor, who's going to be a sold-out crowd tonight on ABC. So we'll see how that goes. Texas has been notorious in the past for playing down to their opponent's level. Hopefully that's not the case, guys. Hopefully put them away early, silence those doubts before they even get started. So we have Texas against Baylor, Oregon. Okay, we talked about them against Colorado. We have Michigan here against Rutgers. I definitely think that 4 out of these 5 can pull out victories today. LSU going against Arkansas. I know that's a high total, and everybody's like, oh, it's because they're 2 high-power offenses. KJ Jefferson coming back on the other side for Arkansas, and they're running back. At the end of the day, year after year, it just becomes a slobber knocker, to be completely honest. It's kind of like a Steelers versus Ravens type of deal, Bengals versus Ravens. That it's never really high scoring, no matter how bad, how good their offenses are, or even how bad. It's always low scoring just because how well they know each other and how physical they are. And that's what kind of reminds me here of LSU and Arkansas. I just couldn't take the under, but I kind of do like the under. I do lean there if I had to pick another pick there. So yeah, keep an eye out for those conference winners. Again, Caleb Williams has updated to plus 325 in Heisman. Sam Hartman plus 850. If they win today, trust me, that number's going down, and he will be on the radar. No longer a dark horse. He will be on the radar if they win today at Ohio State. Then they still have USC later on in the year. I want to say they have Clemson as well. It's gonna be nice. Beginning of the year totals. So Texas over 9.5, 33 wins. So more than a quarter of the way there now. Stanford over 2.5. They're 1-2. This one kind of scares me now. I really wish they would have won last week against Sacramento State. California under 5.5. Now starting Pac-12 play. We're going to talk about it right now. Pac-12 very competitive. I don't see California hitting 5.5 still. And then Mississippi State under 6.5. They had won their 2 non-conference games and then get stomped by LSU last week. They really didn't have they didn't really play any competition, and I think that's the rest of the way against the SEC. Yes, there's some SECs that are just as bad as they are, but I definitely think Mississippi State is one of the lowest SEC teams that you can find. So I don't know if they hit that 6.5. And then beginning of the year playoff picture, remember we had Georgia, Michigan, Texas, LSU. Again, LSU doesn't look great. Clemson on the outside looking in doesn't look great. And then Oregon does look great, and hopefully they take care of business at home today against Colorado. But yeah, the rest of our playoff picture looks pretty good with Georgia, Michigan, and Texas, especially Texas' strength of schedule at this point in time. Other than that, guys, let's break down some of these top 25 matchups really quickly before we post this up. Again, apologies for the late video, but let's go ahead and get rolling. So we're on ESPN, top 25. Of course, I highlighted the Colorado just because now I am in Colorado, so I keep up with their scores. And then you see Texas, Baylor, and then you see Notre Dame, Ohio State. Those are my favorite teams, Notre Dame and Texas. So that's why they're up top, and then we'll start going down after that. Colorado, Oregon, I told you guys I definitely think Oregon wins this game. I don't think there is a chance that they don't. So yeah, give me Oregon. And then, sorry, I apologize. It was kind of like frozen there for me. And then give me Oregon, but I don't think they cover the spread. We talked about that in my favorite picks. Then we have Texas at Baylor for their first road test of Big 12. This is going to be one of those matches I was talking about. No longer seeing this type of rivalry in the Big 12. Texas leaving for the SEC. Probably going to be one of the last times in a very long time that we see Baylor, considering that they'll probably never make a meaningful bowl game again. I don't know if Texas covers this spread, to be honest. And it's kind of the worry that I have with Colorado and Oregon. We've talked about it before. Texas likes to start slow, grind on opponents, especially with their offensive line and with their running game and what they're capable of. And we saw it in the fourth quarter against Wyoming. Um, Additionally, it's a sold out crowd for Baylor in a night game. So that's ever more worrisome. So I don't know if Texas covers 17. I don't think it's going to be a 3-point game and it's an end of the game field goal. That would be nerve wracking. I definitely think Texas wins by 7, 10, 13. But I can see Baylor covering or backdoor covering 17. That over under 49 actually looks pretty nice. It's just Texas, man. You never know what you're going to get. Is it going to be a shootout? But I don't think we have the defense that we had in past years, that it was always a shootout in the Big 12. I don't think it's that anymore. So that's just one of those things. Like, are they going to be able to put up points? Because if they can, I can definitely see Baylor putting up 13 points and Texas putting up something around 30. Like, it starts getting you pretty close to this over-under total. Ohio State at Notre Dame. Again, probably the marquee matchup of the weekend. Very excited for this one. See if Notre Dame is actually for real and if we have a playoff contender with them, or is Ohio State capable and they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and their weapons on the outside. Nothing to shy away from. And that's something I didn't mention, but they still have great weapons. I just think it is a big question mark at quarterback, to be completely honest. And playing a defense in a hostile environment for your first or meaningful road game, it's scary when you have a competent quarterback who's played in big games, when you have Estime who's a good running back and grinds it, and you're behind a great offensive line and a great defensive line. It's hard not to like it. And as underdogs at home, I like them +3. Michigan at Rutgers. We talked about this one, so I really won't go through it. But I have Michigan. I just don't think they cover 24. It's 24 now. I had 24.5. Florida State at Clemson. Again, I really like Florida State. It's shifted now to 2. I had them at 1.5. Remember, during the week, some people were trying to take Clemson at a pick 'em. I definitely think this is starting to, again, flow back. The money's starting to flow back to Florida State. I just think Florida State's better everywhere. I do think that Cade might be a little bit of a fluke, and I just need to see Clemson get back to being Clemson. And I don't think we see that here today. Oklahoma at Cincinnati. This is over on the Horns 2020 podcast. We broke this one down. I do think they're great offenses. I know there's a lot of talk about Oklahoma and that they've been shutting down opponents. At the end of the day, who have they really played? Like, they haven't played anybody. So if you're going to come in and tell me, like, oh, they haven't let up more than 13, 16 points, whatever it is, cool. But who have you played? Right? So at the end of the day, Cincinnati, I'm not saying they're world beaters and it's like the cream of the crop in the Big 12. I apologize. It's not. But at the end of the day, I definitely think it's enough to be able to cover this over, and me and the boys think that. Oklahoma has a good offense, or per se. When you have Stoops playing on your offense as a wide receiver, that's a little bit worrisome, but by all means. And then you have Cincinnati, who's a competent offense, and I definitely think it's a Big 12 game, and we know those points go up. So I definitely think Oklahoma's flaws on defense show out here today, and that we cover this over-under at 58. UCLA at Utah. I'm going to go ahead and take, I don't know, is there news about Cam Rising? If there's Cam Rising playing, I'm taking Utah. But Dante Moore has looked really good. At the end of the day, he's a freshman. It's kind of scary going into Utah. That place is rocking. Even if it's a day game, they haven't lost there in quite a while. I know UCLA beats Utah last year in the Rose Bowl. At the end of the day, I definitely think Utah can be a better team. It's just they need competent quarterback play. So I don't know. I need to see if Cam Rising's playing. I honestly haven't seen that one. If he's playing, I like Utah. If not, I think UCLA is very live for the upset. But the moment I see Cam Rising playing, I think Utah -3 becomes one of my favorite plays, to be completely honest. Alabama or Ole Miss at Alabama. I don't know. People keep saying Ole Miss has a chance here. I really don't think they do. Milroe comes back for Alabama. I definitely think Alabama kind of like sleptwalked their way through USF. Their quarterback play was bad. I definitely think that was all on the offensive coordinator of advocating for one of his quarterbacks that came from Notre Dame with him. Tommy Rees, bad call on that one. I'm glad Nick Saban just overturned that one. I honestly think that was the case. And Milroe was back at quarterback. That means they have a threat running. He looked pretty good against Texas with the long ball. And at the end of the day, Ole Miss should have lost to Tulane a couple weeks back if Tulane had their starting quarterback. And even then, like, the score ended up being like 17 points. But that was very misleading. It was 2 big turnovers at the end of the game. One of them returned for a touchdown. It was a very, very close game with the backup quarterback at Ole Miss. Or was it out? I don't know. It might have been at Tulane. Anyways, Tulane should have won that game. Ole Miss, I think, is definitely overhyped here. And give me Alabama. I definitely think Alabama grinds out like what we've seen in the past. They dominate the SEC. Until it comes to like your top competition, I don't think Ole Miss is top competition. Even though they're 15, I definitely think this is overrated and that they should be at least 2-1. Duke at UConn, give me Duke. Not going to spend time there. Miami at Temple, give me Miami. And I actually think they cover here at 23. We've been seeing Van Dyke put up some numbers, especially against Texas A&M. Remember that, A&M Aggie fans. But yeah, give me Miami here against Temple, and I actually think Miami covers just because of the high-powered offense that they have. Tennessee at Utah, give me UTSA covering this. Milton just has looked absolutely garbage. Again, phenomenal arm, but just has no touch whatsoever, no accuracy, and it's just depressing to see, to be honest. Tennessee, people were high on them, especially after what they did last year. I think they just lost way too many weapons. That was a shout out to the roster that they had last year. An unfortunate injury to their quarterback cut that short. At the end of the day, give me Utah to cover 24. I just don't think Tennessee's able to put up points like that just because of the inconsistent play at quarterback with Milton. Arkansas, LSU, we talked about this a little while ago. I like LSU here, but I definitely think it becomes a slobber knocker. I definitely think Arkansas can cover 17.5, to be completely honest. I definitely think this is a much closer game than what people are assuming. And then also, I definitely think this is going to be more of a defensive battle. Even though they both have high-powered offenses, and I might sound really stupid at the end of the day, it might go well over at the end of the day. Give me LSU versus Arkansas. Under, as well as Arkansas covering 17.5. Oregon State at Washington State. We're at 12 minutes from kickoff, guys, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Give me Washington State. I really don't know where to go here. Actually, no, give me Oregon State. I really don't know where to go here. I haven't seen Washington State play. Maybe that's the reason why. I've been reading great things about them, and that's why I was leaning towards Washington State. I have to go Oregon State. I've been seeing them play. They look awesome. People are saying DJ's going to become DJ from Clemson. Who knows? That possibly can be true. But Washington State has a phenomenal defense. Oregon State has phenomenal defense. I just like the offense that Oregon State has. It's very different for the Pac-12. It is very smash mouth. It's very Utah-esque. So I definitely think Oregon State has that success on the road against Washington State, and they win and possibly cover this 3-point. So give me Oregon State. Florida at Charlotte, give me Florida. Georgia at UAB, I don't even know why we would even discuss this. Give me Georgia. I don't think they cover 40, though. Penn State at Iowa, I think Penn State dominates. Penn State always dominates at home. Iowa, I think, is very fluky, just what I was talking about Ole Miss. Yes, they have the capabilities to score on offense now. Penn State has a great defense. I think it goes back to being the same old Iowa. 37.5 is kind of intriguing, to be honest. I definitely think Penn State can score. And I definitely think that Iowa can put up 10 points. So only need 28 points from Penn State, which I think is very, very possible with the explosiveness that they have both on the running game and on the outside. North Carolina at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looked absolutely garbage against West Virginia, who's the worst of the worst in the Big 12, pretty much. So give me North Carolina here and to cover the spread. USC at Arizona State. Let's not even talk about it. I think that's like curb stomping Arizona State, probably down to like their fourth-string quarterback at this point with all the injuries. Get shut out against Fresno State, and maybe they were looking ahead to USC. You're not a good enough team to look ahead to USC. So give me USC and probably even covering the spread at this point in time because Arizona State has looked that bad since their season opener where they won. California at Washington. Washington just looks like a world beater. I know they've been getting these big spreads, and that's why I can't bet them because I'm just waiting for that day that they struggle. It hasn't come yet. So shout out to Penix Jr. I think this might be the week that I take them as their spread and by winning 21, at least by 21 points. So give me Washington. They're just too high powered late on at night. So I'm going to keep an eye out on these games for Pac-12 action, Pac-12 action in the nighttime. So that wraps up the top 25 slate, guys. Again, I really love Texas here today. I love Notre Dame. I think Rutgers covers. It's going to be an exciting day, guys. Again, what I told you guys at the beginning, I definitely think this is the best slate, one of the best slates, if not the best slate that we're going to have of all college football season. So huge shout out to the college football makers. You guys owed us after week 3's terrible slate. So I'm glad we have conference play. I'm glad we have these rivalries for one last year for the Big 12 and Pac-12. It's going to be an exciting slate, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy our picks. Hopefully we have some success. Thank you guys for the support. Keep an eye out for the UFC videos dropping right after this one. But go watch some football, guys. Enjoy your guys' Saturday. Be safe. Thank you guys very much. And have a good one. Thank you, guys.